evening. My message tonight is naturally divine. Now, I know sometimes we look around us and we look at the world and it looks kind of broken and messed up and flawed, and oh, there's just challenges everywhere. But let's really take a look at that. If my nature is divine, if that is my natural state of being, and yours, of course, because there's only one of us here. We all live within this one divine presence, this one divine energy. So when we can allow ourselves to acknowledge our connection, not just with this infinite power and presence, but that means we are connected with each other, and that we are connected with the earth. We are connected with all of the animals. We are connected with everything. There is no place where there is separation. And I was speaking to someone earlier today about an experience that they were talking about, someone who sat with a tree and began to feel an energy of connection with that tree. And we've noticed it sometimes with animals, where we will all of a sudden feel a connection to the animals around us in a way that maybe we never have before. And of course, with each other. And I know all of us have had experiences at one time or another where we've thought of somebody and the phone is rung and it's them. Or, we go to call somebody and they pick up the phone to phone us at the same time that we're phoning them. There's experiences that we have that absolutely reveal to us our connection. So I want us to explore our nature. I mean, when we think about it, where does it come from? I mean, some of us are kind and generous and really giving in many ways, and some of us are angry and frustrated and withholding. And some of us will go out and kill someone, and someone else will go out and care for anyone and everyone all the time, giving fully of themselves. And what is it that makes the difference? Where is it that we're living that allows us to live in this awareness or understanding of separation when in fact we are all connected? And I think the answer is fear. There's an energy of fear that permeates all of the consciousness around us. If we were to look at the world around us and listen to the news for, even 5 minutes, there would be a lot to be afraid of, right? Fear has been the predominant force that has caused us to believe in the idea of separation, them and us, here and there. All of this actually is the illusion of the human experience. Doesn't mean what we're feeling isn't real. Absolutely it is. But what we're experiencing comes from our own belief system and what it is we believe about what's going on in the world around us. So when we come to an understanding that I'm naturally divine, what that suggests to me is that I have within me everything I need in order to live a fulfilled and satisfied life, a life that is a life that works for me, right? And each and every one of us will have different expectations of what a life looks like that would make us feel satisfied and fulfilled. All right. And I think that's what we're all seeking for, to be satisfied and fulfilled in our life journey, to experience happiness, to be loved and to share love. And the way that that happens is to begin to explore our own inherent divinity, to begin to see ourselves for who we really are. And thank you, Deja, for putting that in the chat. Fear is false evidence appearing real. We attach to an idea because we think that it's the truth. But what if it's merely a belief system that's running that, in fact, if we were to truly explore it deeply, we would discover that it had no teeth. It was not actually real. It was something we imagined because of what we'd been taught as children, what we heard on the news recently. And we've been trained to distrust one another. We've been trained to look at the world out here and determine what's good for us, what's best, rather than to go within to our own divine sacred self and ask the question, what is right for me right now? We've forgotten to listen to our intuition, and yet it's very present. Not for some of us, but for all of us. All of us are tapped in, or we're ignoring the fact that we're tapped in. See, when we come to realize that we are all connected, all of a sudden fear becomes feeling excited and ready. It's no longer something that I have to run from, but rather something I can go, wow, something new is coming, something brand new is occurring. And so when I look at the whole of the universe, that includes animal life, plant life, humanity, all of it is one thing. And we have, as a people, we have kind of messed it up a little bit. We don't like mosquitoes, so we spray and spray and spray to kill them off. We don't like to have bugs in our homes, and so we squash and kill and get rid of them, or we put out traps for them. We don't like, certain people, so we decide they should live somewhere else, or we don't want to include them. And what we're trying to come to understand here in this teaching of oneness, is that I am one with everything, not some things, everything. So I'm one with the trees and the flowers and the bugs and the bees and the animal life and humanity. All of it is happening within this one. So I begin to look at how I interact with the world around me. I begin to look at how I feel about the world around me. And it's interesting, the judgment and criticism that will come up just kind of automatically without us giving it much thought. And so I wonder where it came from originally. What idea was planted in me when I was young, when I was a child, that has allowed me to believe certain things, that we don't need certain animals, we don't need certain wildlife, we don't need, right, we don't need things that bother us or interrupt us. But you know what if the thing that bothers us is the thing that's actually going to save us, save us from some experience that we didn't know about. We were watching something, Pierre and I were watching something that was interesting. Oh, I know, on Netflix, understanding the mind of cats. And in Europe, prior to the Black Plague, cats were kind of decimated. Nobody wanted cats around. Let's get rid of the cats. Could that have contributed to the Black Plague? I mean, all of a sudden, the cats weren't there to get rid of the rodents. And the plague was carried by fleas living on these rodents and all over the place, and thriving and growing and expanding because there was nothing to get rid of them, right? So we look at the balance of nature and the balance of life, and we have an opportunity to really explore how we feel about this life journey that we're on. And are we ready to simply accept that all of life is naturally divine? That somehow everything that's going on is part of a greater idea, a grander vision. And if I allow myself, I can begin to live in harmony with all of it. And I think that's the key. I think that will heal our planet and heal our own nature. But of course, where does it all begin? Right here, within me, within you. So I have a choice to make about my life and my experience. I have a choice to make about whether or not I can be okay with me, because this is where it all begins. Coming to understand I am enough, coming to understand that I'm valuable, unique, special, coming to understand that I am essential to the universe and the way that it unfolds. You see, some of us look in the mirror and we don't like ourselves very much. Some of us think that if we were just this way or that way, life would be better. If we were just born in a different household, if we had different life experiences, life would be better. We would be so much better off. But what if every single thing that has ever happened in your life, the good and the bad of it, has brought you to this moment? And in this moment, you have within you everything you need to create a remarkable life. And the only thing blocking or stopping that is self-perception, self-esteem. doubt, fear, worry. I'm not good enough. But what if you are? What if you're more than enough? What if the unfolding of the universe at this point in time requires your unique little sum, whatever that is? What if you're the answer? What if you're the answer? What if the one thing you do on the one day of the one year that you do this one little thing that seems little to you, all of a sudden creates a ripple effect and changes everything for everyone? I've heard it said that the flapping of a butterfly's wings in the rainforest will change the weather in Russia. It's a very subtle thing, the movement of a butterfly. But what if the system is so integrated, so connected, that every little movement impacts all of it? And then imagine that what I think impacts all of it. That where my thoughts go, where I focus my attention, what I believe to be true, all of that is impacting the whole. Imagine being that powerful. Not to manipulate or coerce someone else or something else, but rather to own the potential that is within, that we can, from that place, explore life in a brand new way, to recognize that I'm enough and to live from that place of enoughness, to love ourselves enough that we can love others. I truly believe that it's hurt people that hurt people. It's not the happy, comfortable people who are truly loving their own life and their own experience. Those are not the ones who are out causing harm. So what would it take for us to live from that natural divinity? What would it take for us to truly acknowledge that I am created in the image and likeness of the one? Perfect, whole, and complete. What if I could believe that for myself? What if you could believe that for yourself? I really, truly, honestly believe that we would begin to see a world that works well, a world that works harmoniously. I think we would begin to see less violence day by day. We would begin to see more compassion and kindness, more support and love for one another, more respect overall. There might even be a willingness to learn not only about our own nature, but the nature of those around us, that instead of judging, criticizing, ridiculing, bullying, or whatever else is going on, we would begin to go, I wonder what that person's life is like. I wonder who they are, where they came from. I wonder. And in wondering if there would be the possibility then of having conversations and just discovering each other in a whole new way. I heard about this thing a few years ago called the human library, and I loved the concept because it's two people sitting facing one another, and one person tells their story, and the other person only listens. Only listens, that's it. Imagine being able to sit and share your life journey, the up and the down of it. What all the things that have made you who you are today. What a gift that would be for you to share and have someone listen, but also for the person listening to come to a level of appreciation and understanding for you that they would never have had otherwise. Because you know how we look at things and we jump to conclusions. We look at things and we think we know. But what if we don't? And I'm pretty sure we don't. I don't think we know what's going on in somebody else's life at any given moment. But if we were to take the time to listen to the stories, listen to the journey of other people, what their life has been like, we would come to understand how it is that they are today. But we would also give them the gift of listening, which may help them to feel loved and supported, respected. And in doing that, maybe, just maybe, that would create kind of a ripple effect that would shift consciousness globally. I had a wonderful conversation with a good friend of mine today. We hadn't talked for a while. She lives in San Diego. I live in Toronto. So it's a little harder to connect sometimes. But we had this lovely conversation, and she had taken a group of youth to Alabama. And they were in Montgomery, and they went to, what's it called? Oh, the Legacy Museum. And it was heart-wrenching to see the history of slavery in the US, and for these young people to be able to go through the exhibits and get some kind of understanding of what has happened historically. And we here in Canada sometimes pretend that we didn't have that, but we did. We had slavery, but we also had the destruction of the Indigenous. And we've created a lot of things that can make it uncomfortable for us to have certain conversations. But having those conversations is what opens hearts and heals wounds. Being able to stand and say, you know what, I think we could do better. So help me to understand. Help me to understand your culture. Help me to understand your spirituality. Help me to understand who you are and where you came from. And then I will try to understand my part in the journey that we walk together. And so when we start to create these conversations, when we start to work together, when we start to love ourselves enough to be willing to make a mistake and then to own that and choose to learn or change from our new awareness. See, I don't know what I don't know, right? And so there's plenty for me to learn. And when I sit down and have conversations with other people, all of a sudden I start to notice that the assumptions that I make are wrong almost 100% of the time, right? What's the old saying, assume, makes an ass out of you and me. It truly, truly does, because our assumptions are never correct. We tend to clump things together. I remember when I was expecting Genevieve and we went in to have an ultrasound. And the woman who was doing our ultrasound was a Muslim woman. Well, I had never interacted with a Muslim woman before, so I didn't know. I thought she would be serious. She was lovely. She was funny, witty. And when we got the video for the ultrasound, she had put on there, hi and bye, and, did these little comments. And it was just really, really sweet to realize that I just didn't know what I didn't know. And that's the journey that we're on, is that we don't know certain things. And it's okay to not know. How could we possibly know everything? However, we do have the ability to discover. We have the ability to question. We have the ability to make a mistake, step in the mud and go, wow. And I've done it a few times. And I don't regret any of it, because every time I've made a mistake, and really maybe caused harm to someone else, what it's allowed me to do is to notice my error and correct it. And then I don't make that same mistake again. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm expanding. And that's the only thing we can ask of each other, is to accept our own natural divinity, and then to have a safe place where we allow each other to make mistakes and to speak about it, not ignore it. Don't sweep it under the rug. Speak about it. If I have done something to harm you, if I've said something that is painful for you, tell me that. Because that way I can learn and I can do it different next time. Whatever is going on in our lives and in our worlds, all of us are in this together. There is no such thing as race. And I think that's been one of the big fabrications of the world that has caused so much separation. There is only one race, the human race. And when we can come to acknowledge and accept that, what happens is we begin to move through life a little bit differently. There's a little less judgment, a little less them and us. Now, we'll still see it economically. That needs to be healed. We'll still see it when it comes to, the letters that, precede or finalize a name, doctor, reverend, bachelor of arts, or, whatever, some master's degree, whatever, doctorate. So we look at these things, the president, oh, the president, that person's so grand, so fabulous. Yeah, no. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. And it doesn't matter what our skill set is, we're all needed and necessary. Everyone is essential to the universe working properly and completely. And whenever we remove an element, we actually disrupt the balance. And in disrupting the balance, we cause harm globally. We're on a journey, and it's about discovering first our own self and getting okay with us, right? Because sometimes we're not very okay with ourselves. And then we do harm to others to try and lift ourselves up or bolster ourselves a little bit. We want to stop doing that and just look in the mirror and see ourselves for who and what we really are. Naturally divine, naturally beautiful, naturally perfect, whole, and complete. Created in the image and of the likeness of the one. And in acknowledging that and living from that, we then move into life in a completely different way, because now I don't have to compete with you, right? Because I'm different than you. I get that. And I'm exactly the same as you. I seek, fulfillment and satisfaction and love and happiness, right? I seek all of that. And I don't have to compete, because all that I have need of is available to me and through me, and all that you have need of is available to you and through you. We are all naturally divine. And all of the necessary components of our life experience are available to us. So why is it that we're not getting it, right? Isn't that the big question, $1,000,000 question? And it comes back to our own consciousness, our own set of beliefs. There's a belief that we are limited. There is a belief that there isn't enough to go around. There is a belief that, we need to fear this person or that person. There's a belief that somehow, I don't know, somehow we could, catch poverty. I don't think that can happen, but there's belief systems like that. Like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person because, what if I get what they've got? Like, there's all of these weird misunderstandings that are going on, that when we come to that place of acknowledging and recognizing our oneness, acknowledging and recognizing our own divinity, loving ourselves enough to be love in the world because we know we're safe. That's a big one. Fear is such a huge separator. It's kind of like the grand colander, right? Separating the good from the good, creating a perception of bad when in fact it isn't there. So I want us to leave tonight with a sense of, I am enough. You are enough. Like, if we can look in the mirror in the morning and go, wow, I am awesome. I am enough. I am a champion. I am divine. I am love. I am light. I am peace. I am beauty. I am one with the one. I'm perfect, whole, and complete. I am enough always. And my own unique way of being is absolutely my special way of being in the world. And your unique way of being is your special way of being in the world. And all of it is good. All of it is good and very good. When we stop competing and separating and them and us and here and there, and instead come together with an understanding that the greatness that I bring to the table models for you the ability to bring your greatness to the table because it's safe. And all of that greatness together creates a world that is beautiful and satisfying and fulfilling and remarkable. And we're all essential to the unfolding of the universe right here, right now. There is no them and us up and down here and there. There is only one. one power, one infinite creative intelligence. And we all live, move, and have our being in it. So every cell of my body is it. Every cell of your body is it. It is in coming to this place that we can begin to acknowledge each other with respect, with compassion, with love, with appreciation. And it's in doing that that we create a world that is peaceful, loving, kind, and respectful. A world that works for the highest and best good of all. That's the world I'd like to live in. I don't know about you. I invite you to find your essence and share it with the world because you are remarkable.